Welcome to Analytics Nexus. Thanks for joining us for Ray Wang's presentation, How to Lead a Data-Driven Digital Transformation. R. Ray Wang is the principal analyst, founder, and chairman of Silicon Valley-based Constellation Research Inc., which advises Global 2000 companies on the future, business strategy, and disruptive technology adoption. He's also the author of popular business strategy and technology blog, A Software Insider's Point of View, with viewership in the tens of millions of page views a year. Wang has held executive roles in product, marketing, strategy, and consulting at companies such as Forrester Research, Oracle, PeopleSoft, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, Personify, and Johns Hopkins Hospital. Ray is also a regular contributor to Harvard Business Review and well-quoted in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Bloomberg, CNBC TV, Reuters, IDG News Service, and other global media outlets. Wang has thrice won the prestigious Institute of Industry Analyst Relations Analyst of the Year Award.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're talking at how to lead a data-driven digital transformation, building a data-to-decision pipeline. And as part of the Analytics Nexus 2020 event, I'm Ray Wang, principal analyst and founder of Constellation Research. So let's start with this stat. 52% of the Fortune 500 merged, acquired, gone bankrupt, fallen off the list since 2000. This is crazy. We're talking about a massive amount of change that's occurred over the past 20 years, over the past 10 years, over the past 5 years, and companies are being bought, acquired, going bankrupt because they have not made that shift. They have not put data to their advantage. They are not thinking about digital transformation. Now, this is real. Let's look at the stats here, right? Companies that are doing this, they're winning. They're taking 40 to 70% of the market share. They're taking 40 to 77% of the profits. This isn't a small deal. Companies that have built data-driven business models, that have built data to decision, companies that are in the midst of digital transformation, these companies are winning. These companies are succeeding. Let's take a look. What's the hottest performing stock since 2010? Let's put some names up here. We'll throw some logos. I don't know, Tesla, the FANG stocks, Alibaba, Baidu, Tencent, maybe Apple? No. The top performing stock, Domino's Pizza. Think about it. Domino's Pizza, the top performing stock, right? These guys started at $11 and they worked their way and the returns are amazing. But how did they get there? It wasn't just by accident. They got there because they put digital transformation into place. They reformulated their pizza. I don't know how many folks here actually have the Domino's app. If you have the Domino's app, right? Think about this. 5 p.m. on a Friday, you're going to get an alert and that alert's going to say, would you like a pizza? Right? And it starts there on the mobile device. And from there, they're able to say, you can make your order. You can tell you exactly, get a status for your order. Did it show up into the oven? Is it coming out of the oven? Are we like 10 minutes away, 5 minutes away? Right? You can even take a picture of that pizza and say, wow, what's the quality of the picture? They run it through a machine learning engine on the back end to look at quality, right? Domino's won the digital transformation war. They are not a digital company to begin with. They're not even a tech company. They're your average Fortune 500. Actually, they're not below average. They're above average, but it's your average Fortune 500 company that's actually done digital transformation and succeeded, right? And it's a data-driven approach. It's getting customer data into work. It's getting data-driven models in place, and it's thinking about what that experience looks like. Welcome to the post-sale on-demand attention economy. What do we mean by that? Everything after the sale is now more valuable than the sale. It's installation, it's warranty, it's experiences, it's outcomes. That's a very, very different world. It's on demand. Are you buying everything, the big chunk all at once? No, you're buying smaller and smaller slices of products, services, experiences, and outcomes. And more importantly, it's an on-demand economy, attention economy in a very, very different way, right? It is not about being faster. It is about being more efficient. It's about capturing people's attention. And if you're not capturing their attention, they don't care, right? Loyalty is dead. We are trading loyalty for value, loyalty for status, loyalty for value. All these things are happening right now, and we're actually seeing this shift, and that's where this digital world is happening. Now, when we talk about transformation, there's different types of transformation. In fact, there's incremental innovation, there's transformational innovation, right? And this innovation equation that's going on is really the heart of some of these transformational initiatives. So let's talk about incremental innovation. Incremental innovation is kind of simple, right? What do we have here? The Sony Walkman. What was the innovation behind this? Well, think about it. When did the Walkman come out? 70, 79, 80, 81, 81? Venture guess. Well, it came out in 79 in Japan, in the early 80s in the rest of the world. This was about portable music, right? This is about the ability to bring music anywhere you want. That was the innovation. And Sony did a great job. Now, in fact, I had to wait years for the next incremental innovation from Sony. Anyone want to venture a guess? I actually had to go to Japan to pick this up. I went to Akihabara and actually went there to get this innovation. I paid $400 to do it. Anyone take a guess? Take a guess? No, it's not a mini disc player. No, no, no. Anyone go for a guess? The double cassette Walkman. Yeah, think about that. 2 cassette tapes at the same time, 180 minutes, right? I used to cut lawns to pay for school. Think about how many lawns that is. It's about 30, 40 minutes a lawn. Yeah, I could get about 4 or 5 lawns in there. But when you look at incremental innovation, it's not exciting. It's like, kind of, oh, really? That's it? Right? I'm not very excited by this. But at the time, that was pretty cool, right? 2 cassette decks, right? Rechargeable battery, cool yellow headsets, right? That's what incremental innovation looks like. But what we really want to talk about is transformational innovation. That's what digital transformation is really about, right? Transformational innovation is about disrupting markets, right? Take the iPod. iPod, great device, right? Sony had a device before Apple. Other devices companies had devices out there, right? Apple wasn't the first one out the door. So, okay, it's a hard drive. It's got music and it's got a good UX. That's wonderful, right? But think about the last decade. This was truly the iPhone decade. Right? The iPhone decade, these guys basically disrupted 27 business models. 27 business models went away, poof, right? Where do you get your camcorder? What do you do with the navigation device, right? Where's your camera? Flashlight manufacturers disrupted by the iPhone. We're talking about 50,000 products, 10 million jobs, all vanished by the iPhone. We're talking about hundreds of billion-dollar companies created through apps on the iPhone. This is the type of innovation that we're talking about. We're talking about transformational innovation at massive scale. Now, the iPhone is $150 commodity components for $1,000 bucks. Samsung is going after Apple on the high end. What is this? Well, it's a Samsung phone. Think about it. Right? It's $100 commodity components for $800. What is this? $100 commodity components for $200. What's the difference between these 3 phones? It's really about brand. What does the brand stand for? Where's the brand value? It's still $100, $150 commodity components, but the brand makes a big difference. So where do we go? What are these AI-driven analytics? What are these data-driven capabilities that are going in the future? Well, the first rule here is we are talking about transformation at a business model level. The business model comes first, then the technology. Ignore the fact that there's cool technologies out there. That's okay. Think about the business models and think about what cool technologies can support those business models. That's what we're trying to get to. Now, we all know these are basic building blocks for a digital world. Mobile is about doing things in motion. It's not about a device. It's the in-between time, right? Social is all the cool stuff that you can do to engage with folks, right? It's a great example of some current and past social technologies that have been out there. But, this is about engagement. It's 2 ways, right? It's also about washing your hands after the slide, right? And then there's the cloud. Think about the cloud. Unlimited access to compute power, unlimited access to storage, right? The ability to actually bring everything together in one central location. And of course, we have big data, right? Do you want more data? I don't know if I want more data, but I want to make better decisions. And then of course, IoT, thing on the edge, context on the data, the edge computing that's actually happening there. It's context. I get time, I get location, I get weather, I see what's going on out there, right? And then of course, 3D printing is kind of cool, right? Additive manufacturing. Okay, so we have cool technologies that are out there, taking advantage of a company like Uber or ride sharing service like Uber. Who's used one in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks? A lot of people have, including yourselves. And what does that mean? Well, think about it. The business model in Uber is first. It's a ride sharing company. And what do? It trades on data. So it's mobile, right? You look down, you see, where's your car? You see where the map is, you see the driver, they see your stuff, they see your rating as well. You can even text them, tell them where you are. It's also social. How many of you rate your drivers? Do you ever wonder why you don't get picked up? They look at your ratings too, right? Works both ways. right? So, and it's also cloud. We bring all the technologies together, all the pricing models, all your personal information, payment, all comes together in the cloud, which you then access through your mobile device. And of course, it's big data, right? What happens when it rains? What happens when you're in the middle, like it's at 10 p.m. after a concert? You have dynamic pricing, big data in action, dynamic pricing. And then of course, we got cool things on IoT. People know, like, wait, what are the most popular routes? What are the most popular drop-off destinations? What's the weather, location in a different place, site? And that data is being collected, brought together, and it's being brokered. And then of course, if you're Donna's Pizza, it'd be cool to print a 3D printer, but hey, we don't have that all in place, right? But what happens beyond this? Once we get our business models right, we have to find the right technologies behind it, right? How do we take the IoT data and put it to customer experiences? How do we take 3D printing and apply it, to create manufacturing on demand and additive on demand? How do we take spatial computing, AR and VR, and transform those customer experiences with the context of the customer data that we have, or what's in a customer data platform? What do we do in robotics to light things up? What do we can do in blockchain to create smart contracts or provenance of data? And of course, what's happening in the cognitive world, right? These are all very, very important, right? We see these things trending along with AI. So what are we doing? We are moving from selling products to selling services, to delivering experiences, and ultimately delivering on a brand promise, right? This battle for experiences, it's not just about customers. It's happening with all stakeholders, employees, happening with suppliers, happening with partners, right? But customer experience is huge. We know that. That's a big part of this. This business model transformation, companies are selling products, are giving products away for services. What happens when you get a free cell phone with a 2-year services contract? It becomes a services play, right? We're moving from freemium to premium, right? Companies are selling, used to give away products for free. And then when you get to certain levels, like once you get to the 10th level, Angry Birds, you pay. Once you get to a gigabyte of storage, you pay. This freemium and premium model really moves us from products to services, services to experience. And sometimes we're going from experiences to outcomes. I'm going to guarantee you 95% uptime for a certain period per month. Right? If you want more, we'll make you pay for it. Right? And so we are ultimately delivering on these different types of business models. Now, here's a great example of something, right? People used to sell these imaging equipment. Right? It's amazing, right? It's $1 million piece of equipment. They would sell you the equipment. Then they would try to sell you training and learning. They try to sell you installation. They try to sell you maintenance, right? And your business model really doesn't follow that. If you're a clinic or a hospital, what's the most important thing to you? You care about revenue per patient scan per day. So how long can we keep the machine up and running? What type of scans can we do that get reimbursed for the highest rate? And how many patients can we run through there? Those are questions you care about. So ultimately, the metric you care about is not buying the piece of hardware, not the installation, not the training. What you really care about is uptime. So today, these machines are sold 3.5 million. We'll guarantee you 80% uptime for the next 4 years. If you want 95% uptime, well, that might be 4 million, might be 4.5 million to deliver on that. And what happens is, if you're the owner of that medical device, you make sure that thing never goes down. You proactively monitor it. You compare, you benchmark it. You send a technician to go fix something before it's broken, because you're guaranteeing on uptime. Because every day that machine is down, you've agreed to pay for lost revenue. And that creates this very interesting world, right? So we're selling outcomes. Think about Disney. Who's been to a Disney movie theater the last 2 years? Have you seen a movie? Have you gone to a Disney resort? Have you been on a Disney vacation? Did you know you can actually retire at a Disney retirement community in Celebration, Florida, or even in Bangalore, India? Well, think about the Disney model. What's really going on? Are they selling more than theme park tickets? Well, if you've ever experienced the Disney experience, you might have seen that Magic Band. Disney spent $1 billion on the Magic Band. Pretty crazy number. Right? What does the Magic Band do? Well, it's a device. It's an IoT device. It's a wristband that you can use to open up your hotel room. You can use that to enter the park. You can do that to pay for rides in the park. And what Disney does is that takes that data and it uses it to create better experiences. In fact, they can walk around and say, oh my God, Fantasyland is completely crowded today. Maybe we actually have to change the way we do queuing. How do we improve the rides? We need more $10 turkey legs over in Tomorrowland. Right, we're running out. And so they can use that information. So think about what's going on. You are now paying $10 more to get into the Disney park because they spent $1 billion on a Magic Band that can track you like a gerbil and sell you more crap. And in fact, you love it. You love it. Yeah. Disney is out there using that data to craft another experience. In fact, they're not competing with another movie theater. They're not competing with another entertainment venue. They're not competing with another character. they're ultimately competing for your time and attention. You could be reading a book, you could be hanging out, you could be in a restaurant, you could be doing something else, but they know that if you're going to spend time with them, they're going to make sure that they put that data to delivering the best customer experience that they can. And that is the art, right? And so they're competing for your time and attention, and they know it. And any data that they can collect, any digital feedback loops, any customer data platforms, any analytics and insights, it's all being put together to improve that customer experience. Now, a very important fact in digital transformation and how to do this, right? You want to think about the smallest increment of something you can sell. What is unit cost pricing models? What's about the smallest increment of a product, service, experience, or outcome you can sell? Now, well, these guys are Dollar Shave Club. They did get acquired, but what were they selling? They weren't selling razor blades. They weren't trying to sell you. They were trying to sell you shaves as a service. Please watch this commercial at home, but not with your kids. Okay, so what was going on? Well, that was the smallest increment they could sell, was an experience. It was shaves as a service. Let's take the Coke example. What happens if I go from selling you a case of Coke to selling you a bottle of Coke to selling you a can of Coke? How much would you pay for a sip of Coke? Who'd pay 10 cents here for a sip of Coke? That was a weird question, wasn't it? 10 cents? A sip of Coke? How do you measure that? Why do you even care about sips of Coke? Well, let me tell you why. You know those freestyle machines, right? 100 different flavors all over the world, different entertainment venues. If I change the offer to say, I will give you unlimited sips of Coke for the next 2 weeks for $10 at any free venue that has a freestyle machine, would you take that offer? You might, right? Except for all the California health conscious people that drink water, but you get the idea, right? You might. For $10, you get unlimited sips of Coke at any venue with a freestyle machine, right? But that all happened because I could figure out what the smallest unit was. It was a sip of Coke. It wasn't a can, it wasn't a glass, it wasn't an ounce, it was a sip of Coke, which created a very, very interesting conversation point. Now, how do we do that in other areas? Well, in the B2B world, think about green energy, right? We sell you megawatts per hour. You buy kilowatts per hour. We then get down to level electrons. What happens if I was willing to pay for green electrons during peak hours from 1 to 5 in the summer? Maybe I could get it down to, I don't know, 70% solar, 20% hydro, 10% wind. I can now reimagine the customer experience. Using data, I can transform different types of pricing models, different segmentation types, and different types of offers. And now you have the ability to do that. Now, how do we get here? You can't have a digital initiative without data. Data is the foundation of every one of these transformation activities, right? Having that customer data in the right place, aligning it to the right context, thinking of it in the right level of orchestration, every touch point, every connection, every click, all that digital exhaust and digital footprint is very, very important. That's relevant insight, right? We're talking about tons of data. What do we do with this, right? You don't want more data. We said this earlier, you want to make better decisions. Yet, what's interesting is a lot of this data is sitting outside your four walls. You want to bring it together. You want to get it together into customer platform or data platform or customer model, right? You want to bring it all together in one place. But more and more, a lot of that information is sitting outside your four walls. That last stat is very interesting. 60% of your mission critical data is going to be sitting outside your four walls. What are we doing though? We're bringing all this data together. It could be unstructured, it could be semi-structured. The whole point here is we're aligning it back to business processes. Whether it's campaign to lead, order to cash, all right? Where we're trying to get the incident to resolution, hire to retire, doesn't matter. Once we align data to an information flow, we now have the ability, or business process, we now have the ability to have an information flow. And we're going to study that information flow to see where we automate it, where we augment it, where we actually have human intervention. Then over time, we look at the patterns. What are the insights? What do we want to do? What's the performance, right? What's the deduction, inference? What are we predicting here? And ultimately, we're trying to get the next best action or maybe no action, and we build that over time. Now, here's the thing. I'm telling you, if 20% of your revenue is not an insight stream by next year, 2020, you don't have a digital business model. You don't have a digital business model. You've got to build these business models around data and digital. Now, what are we talking about? Well, the first step is kind of easy. We're taking a little bit of data and we're putting that to work. And we're saying, look, that's going to transform your customer experience. How many folks use Waze or Google Maps, right? Think about that. You have the ability to take just a little bit of information to change your experience, change your routing, right? And that's a great example of customer experience, right? Being a little bit of insight transforms that overall experience, right? So how do we drive demand? How do we create new offerings, drive improved customer satisfaction, lower cost models? And then we can take that data. People want to buy your raw data, right? They want to know how many customers do you have, how many interactions, what occurred. I want to even know how many payroll checks you have, how many patents you filed. The point being is that data is being put together and that raw information is being sold. Some people are analyzing that raw information, providing insights. Other folks are doing benchmarking. And then over time, we are delivering in marketplaces. We can create ad networks, marketplaces, deal making, right? People are buying those insights. Every company that is data driven, everyone that's building a data driven network that is building these data business models is basically in the future not selling a product, they're selling next best actions, recommendations, contextual decisions, right? What can you do with context? Well, let me give you a simple example here. Well, this happens to me a lot. And I think you see this all the time, right? You're home, you're waiting for that package, and somehow, time goes by, you kind of miss, the doorbell may have rung, but you haven't heard them, and you get the slip, right? The slip, right? That is that little bar-coded thing they hang on your door that says, sorry, we missed you. Okay, bummer. Now, normally it's not a big deal, but the problem is, you have to wait till after 7 p.m. and it's usually in some warehouse in the middle of nowhere that you got to drive to. And it's during rush hour anyway, so it's going to take you another hour to go find this package after 7 p.m. And usually there's a line outside as well. That sucks. That really does suck, right? So how do we avoid that problem? Well, imagine if I took a little bit of data, I scanned the barcode, I could track the driver on any kind of mapping device or Waze or Google Maps or, and then I can run to the driver, hand them the slip and get my package. How many of you would want to do that? How many of you do that if it was like a new iPhone or new electronic device? How about what about shoes? Would that change your mind? So think about that. Just a little bit of insight and information. So knowing where the customer is, having their record, customer data model, a little location, right? A little payment function, a little e-commerce, and suddenly, boom, I've got a new revenue stream. This is a way to turn big data insights, taking data and context, and creating brand new revenue models. Now, how do we do all this too? Well, there's a goal here. We want to deliver mass personalization at scale, right? Can we do that? It sounds like an oxymoron. How do we take customer data, customer information, experience, and bring mass personalization at scale? Well, it's really important. We start with three things. First one is context. What time is it? What's the weather like? What floor are you in? What business process? Do you know the location? Are you on the second floor, fifth floor? Hey, what's your heart rate? We take that context, and because we can capture that in a digital form, we apply that and we have several choices. Remember these cool books? Choose Your Own Adventure, 20 possible endings. You start on page 1, you make a decision, you're on page 35. Oh, I'm on 72, I made a decision, I'm on 20. Oops, I'm on 74 again, back to 15. Oh, sorry, the end. Well, in a digital world, we want to give everyone a choice. Because when you give you a choice, we also know context and we have attribution. I know the location, I know which business process you were in, I know if you were smiling. I can put all that together and create personalized journeys and create a digital feedback loop, because we start to wonder why certain decisions were made, and we have the context to start inferring when that decision is made. Now, over time, what we want to do is then make some guesses to provide some choices, right? Wayne Gretzky, famous hockey player, if you remember, someone asked his father, why is Wayne a great hockey player? He skates to where the puck will be. Well, that's anticipatory analytics. How do you make that guess? How do you make that call? Well, how is it when you turn your shoulder a certain way? Is it kind of the eye contact? Is it where you are on the ice? Right? All that gets into play. You make a guess, and suddenly you have that in play. So let me give you an example. Who here physically goes out and buys coffee in the morning? Imagine you go out and buy coffee. Maybe you're a coffee snob. You only do single origin. Maybe you like your favorite chain, Dunkin' Donuts, right? Maybe you get coffee at McDonald's, Tim Hortons. Fine. Point being is, if you ask someone when they get the coffee, where they get it, 90% of the time they know it's between a certain time. So someone might say, hey, I get my coffee between 8 and 8:30. I order a black, some kind of dark roast. Actually, believe it or not, I don't drink coffee, so we're making up this example. So, but the point being is, yeah, so 90% of the time they're going to get a dark roast, black coffee at 8 in the morning. Okay, great. But then I want to test some things, right? I want to test location, I want to test weather, just see how you make your decisions. Let's say it's like, 75 degrees outside. Would you get a nice coffee? So offer one, 90% chance, dark roast coffee at 8. Offer two, would you like a nice coffee? It's 75 degrees outside. And offer three, would you like a scone with that? Well, no one takes offer two. Offer one still wins. Okay, that's fine. So we go again. It's 90 degrees outside. And we're gonna make offer number two. Would you like a nice coffee? Person says no. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Maybe it's not hot enough. So we might not make that the next offer, but we'll try that again. We do it the third time. It's now 100 degrees outside. We're gonna test, right? Would you like your normal dark roast? Would you like the iced coffee, right? Or would you just, get a scone again? Well, they ignore option B and they still get the hot coffee. All right, we get the message. We're not gonna give you another hot coffee, an iced coffee offer because you don't care for the iced coffee. We know that you're a hot coffee person and that's fine. All right, so wow, we are now in the situation where we actually learned something. Don't offer this individual an iced coffee. And of course, we can try all these different things over time, right? Give an example. Let's different example, customer experience in a lobby. It is 2 p.m. There's nobody in the lobby. 27-point facial analysis, gate analysis says, looks like the guy on the 15th floor. Okay, well, it's 2 p.m. The elevators are all up. You see me in the lobby. You have a rough idea I'm heading in that direction. Send an elevator down, please. Okay, so great. Elevator goes down. I swipe my badge. It says, oh, looks like the guy, you are definitely on the 15th floor. 95% chance you're on the 15th floor. Choice number one pops up. Choice number two, your boss, she's on the 40th floor. Would you like to meet with her? I know we tried to meet with her for the last 3 weeks. There's a 20-minute window. You can still get there on time. Choice two pops up, 85% chance you might meet with the boss. But wait, free donuts on the 5th floor. That's my A/B test. What do? Do I take the donuts? Do I take the donuts and then go to the boss? Do I skip that? Do I go to my floor? I don't know, but I'm learning. And this is the secret behind all these AI-driven smart services. Ambient orchestration is going to happen because I got digital footprints and digital exhaust. That customer data, customer information is in place. I'm delivering on immersive experience. Give me some context. Well, it's 2 p.m. Okay, give me some content. I'm engaging with the content. I'm figuring out what this collaboration is here, right? And I've got different channels. I've got the console on the elevator. I've got my, VR glasses. I've got my mobile device. I put all that together and I'm doing personalization at scale. Anticipatory analytics gives me a couple of choices. 95% chance I'm going to the 15th floor, right? There's a 40% chance I'm going to go visit, 80% chance I'm going to visit my boss. And there's a 5% chance, actually not 5%, could be a 50% chance I'm going to get the donuts. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see what happens. So anticipatory analytics pop up. I have some catalysts which drive up the offers. I give you some choices. And suddenly we engage in a value exchange. Sometimes it's money. Yay, we bought something. Sometimes it's non-monetary. We liked it. We pushed an action out. We forwarded it. We shared something. And sometimes it's consensus. Consensus? Great. We have an agreement. Now, how often does this orchestration of trust occur? Well, maybe it's at the beginning of a process. Maybe it's ad hoc. Maybe it's dependent on something else I don't know, right? But we're putting it all together and then we're going to apply machine learning. And when we apply machine learning, it's going to be very, very interesting, right? So we get the cadence, we apply machine learning, and suddenly we have the ability to go do AI, customer experience, and these ambient orchestration journeys, right? This is the future, right? This is how every single service is going to be augmented or automated based on this. And this is how we deliver mass personalization at scale using customer data to get there. Now, why are we doing this? Well, we got a whole bunch of reasons, right? We're doing AI outcomes, right? And the business outcomes are important. The first one is, hey, what's going on? Tell me what's happening now. That's our perception. The second piece is, well, tell me what I need to know. Give me a notification. Give me a workflow. Then give me some recommendations. Tell me why I should do it. Make some suggestions. And then, of course, help me automate. What should I always do, right? What are processes? What are journeys that I want to automate? And then over time, we can start building models and we can predict things. We can plan out further. And then, of course, we can do prevention and risk mitigation. Think about it. Risk mitigation and compliance may actually be the #1 use case for AI. And why? Well, it's because I'm helping you reduce a problem. Right? Long time ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, world's famous phone in airports. Right? This company had 8 sigma in quality, 150 devices blew up, burned, had a battery issue, right? That's 8 sigma in quality. 8 Sigma and quality over 8 weeks resulted in an $8 billion recall. That's a lot of money. If I can go from 8 weeks using AI and driving it down to 1 week, driving it down to 1 day, I'm going from $8 billion lost to $1 billion lost to $100 million. What's a $1 million project to save 8 billion? What's even a $100 million project to save 8 billion? It's very little. It is very little. The biggest use case that's going on is using this data to solve AI and get there, right? Reduce a risk, be regulatorily compliant, right? Prevent a disaster from happening. All right, so what are we doing? We're creating brand new business models, right? I'll give you an example of these types of business models that are out there. I think great one here, manufacturing and the IoT of toasters. Who here registers their toaster? Who registers? Who fills out the warranty card? Anybody do that? You know, actually not a lot of people do. We know that, right? But use the toaster as a metaphor for a TV or as a metaphor for a large, expensive electronic item, right? So what's the first phone call like for the toaster manufacturer? Like, you know, when customers call in, what it's all about. It's like, oh, I love your toaster. No, it's broken. It doesn't work. I need help. Right? So here you are on the back end. You're a customer service rep, and you know, for the company that sold the toaster, and this is the first time you're talking to the customer. Are they happy with you? No. It is negative NPS on the first call and first interaction, and it's actually brutal, right? Your $25 toaster has now consumed $7.50 of contact center time because they're trying to figure out, who are you? Where do you live? Where did you buy the toaster? Right? What model of toaster is it? Oh wait, you mean that's not our toaster? Right? So things like this happen, and it's really bad. But if I change the offer and say, please, 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 buy the toaster, connect it to the internet, we will monitor it for you and tell you 90 days before it's broken, something's up. If something needs an update or a fix or repair, we'll make sure that this toaster is okay, right? We'll send you any kind of updates. If there's a recall, we'll let you know. All you have to do is just connect to the internet, give me a, I don't know, zip code, or give me an email, you give me a text for a phone number for text, and we will take care of this and look this for you. Well, what happens, right? We start to figure out really, really cool things like people don't use a certain button or people don't use, there's no feedback, right? They're figuring out, hey, that button doesn't get used, this feature isn't being used, and digital feedback starts coming back, right? You can also understand performance data. Which supplier lied to me? Which coils last longer, right? What dates of manufacturing are better than others, right? You start to figure out, hey, why are toasters doing better in Denver than in Houston? There's more breakage in Houston. What's going on over there? Well, maybe it's humidity, right? Why do toasters in Minneapolis last longer than toasters in New York? And the answer is not the New Yorkers. What is it? Well, it's bagels, right? They break more because of bagels. Okay, I gotta solve that problem. Right? So suddenly we got this very, very interesting situation where we can monitor it. We can actually look at performance data, right? And then I can actually create some interesting offers. I can say, look, for 15 cents a month for the next 7 years, you can have this toaster. If it ever breaks, we'll send you a brand new toaster in 48 hours or less. And you don't have to worry about a thing. We are now offered you toast as a service. Wow. And now I can start going direct to consumer. I can say, hey, I'm going to give you your whole kitchen. For $100 a month, we'll take your entire kitchen, same deal. Anything breaks, we'll replace it, we'll monitor it, you'll be in good shape. We're going to do your HVAC system. Pretty soon, I've gone direct to consumer, and I've also upsell and cross-sold you. We've just done customer experience monitoring. Hey, what's going on over here, right? How's the toaster? What's the performance? We can do remote field service and fix something before it actually breaks. We can offer you toast as a service. And we've gone direct to consumer. Who needs retailers anymore, right? We're going direct to you, or maybe retail's the first time you buy a product, and after that, we bring you into the business model and you can have all this other stuff. And then we cross-sold you. This is how we do big data business models. This is how we build customer experience into place, right? This is really why this data is so important. Every industry is learning from each other. Expect hybrid and multimodal business models to pop out across value chains. This is the norm. And this is the shift that's occurring. Okay, so we talked a little bit about business models. We talked a little about technology and this transformation that's going on out there. Now we got to spend some time talking about humanizing digital. There's 5 generations of people by digital. It's really a notion of how well you know technology. So how well you know technology and how likely you're going to use it. So we got 5 generations, and it's not by age. It's really not by age. I used to volunteer in retirement communities. These folks are digital on day one. They can barely hold on to a pencil. yet they're on a tablet, they're texting, they're taking pictures, they're bugging you at work, right? With weird requests on text. These are digital natives. They're 70, they're in their 80s, right? How many of you go to meetings? You got the little binder, you take all your notes on paper, you draw out everything, right? You jot some notes, your action items are on paper and pencil. How many people do that? If you do that, you are a digital immigrant. Yeah, why are you digital immigrant? You're navigating, you know better. Why? You can just bring a laptop. Why are you writing this on paper, right? All right, I'm gonna confess. I do all my PowerPoints on paper and pencil first, and then I put into PowerPoint. Come on, I should know better, right? So, but I'm a digital immigrant. Who takes pictures of the notes and emails it themselves or texts themselves? Anyone do that? That makes you doubly a digital immigrant. So you're navigating between the old world and the new world. Now we got digital voyeurs. Be nice to them. They love the technology. They understand it. They're just not ready to jump in. So be kind. Then we have digital holdouts. You know who those are. They're like, I don't want to deal with this technology. Don't bother me. I want nothing to do with this. This is not, keep me off the grid, right? Keep me off this tech stuff. I don't get it. And then, of course, we have the digitally disengaged. These are a real special bunch, These folks, they started out with all the cool tech. Think about your friends. I showed you every cool new app, every cool new gadget. What are they doing now? Wow, they're wearing hoodies, they're avoiding video cameras, they're paying in cash, right? They know Snowden was right. So anyways, yeah, they're off the grid for a reason, and that's intentional. So how do we get there? How do we build this data-driven approach? Well, it's actually not that hard. Just start with the right business question, right? What's the right business question? Well, it's about asking questions where you might not have answers, where you might not know where all the data sits, right? That's part of actually building this capability. So you might ask a simple question and say, look, should we spend $1 million on this marketing campaign, or do we hire 8 to 10 people? What's a better return? But Ray, I don't understand that. How to get to the data? Like, we don't have the answer to that. That's okay. You're asking about a question that crosses different departments, and sometimes the data is not available. But let's ask the business questions. Our design point should be asking the key questions that are important. What's my conversion rate optimization by channel? What would happen if we modeled out a different kind of approach, right? Does social media have more influence than direct mail, right? Very, very interesting questions. All data sitting outside the periphery don't have very easy answers. Once we ask those questions, we can then figure out where the data sources are. Now, look, 80% of your data might actually be with you, or 60% might actually be outside your 4 walls already. Well, that means you have to look for them. How do you bring that data in? And it's not pretty, it's not grogged, it's not cleaned, it's not proud, right? It's not easily sitting in a nice CDP system, right? But the point being is, find your data sources, bring it all together, build some data proficiency, help people understand how to visualize data, tell that data story, understand when data doesn't make sense, right? Get that gut call in there as well as their data call. And then we're going to build the insight supply chain. We're taking all the upstream data and different sources, we're bringing it in, and we're actually classifying that data. And once we classify data, we're going to transform it so that people can use it any way they like. We're then going to take that and we're going to augment that data. We're going to master that over time, and then we're going to actually secure it so we can deliver it to downstream sources or archive this puppy, right? And we're going to refresh. This is not happening in batch. It's not happening on a weekly basis. It's not happening on a daily basis. This is happening in real time. We're gonna make these decisions. We're gonna make a snap judgment right away. There is no choice in how you make that decision, right? And then we have to connect this to the right people, get it to the right time, get everything in place. And then we actually have the ability to make decisions, because we've now taken that downstream, giving people to make decisions. It's gotta look cool, right? We need awesome visualization. And we bring that to life so people can actually use it, share it, collaborate, build on that, and then renew that data and refresh it. Now, we talked about this earlier, right? When do we put this all together? When do the robots take over? When will the robots take over? What we're really talking about here is really that notion that we have to make for every single business process. Every single orchestration, every single journey needs to answer this question. When do we fully automate? When do we augment with a human? When do we augment a human with a machine? And when do we fully utilize human judgment? Now, here's a quick way to look at it. We got 7 ways for you to think about this, right? First one, well, if it's highly repetitive, what happens? Think about it. We get bored, we get careless, right? We can't finish the job. It's too repetitive. It's, We have ADD. All right, machine does a better job. Second one, massive volume. We're completely overwhelmed. We're completely confused. How do we deal with this? Okay, well, we're going to need machine scale. We got time to completion. Well, guess what? I can't scale a human. So I got to scale machine. They're much more scalable. And then massive nodes of interaction. So much stuff going on. You could handle like 3 or 4 conversations. Can you handle 100 conversations at the same time? No, right? That level of complexity and nodes of interaction is going to happen with a machine. But there is hope, right? Things that can't be mapped out into a math equation, something super complex. Well, guess what? That's going to be done with humans and human judgment and the augmenting of humans, right? What are we going to do when it's massively created? We create a rule. We have to figure out how to break the rule. We're great at that. Humans are awesome at breaking the rules, given a lot proper motivation and incentive, right? But we're really good at this, right? So creativity, another area where we do well, and then fine motor skills, physical presence. That's one of those areas where machines aren't going to take over our jobs right away. So once again, we're figuring out, when do we fully automate? When do we augment a machine with a human? When do we augment a human with a machine? And when do we trust human judgment? Now, a couple other things. We have to have some design principles for ethics and AI ethics and digital ethics, how we use that data. First one, make sure that the algorithms are transparent so that we understand what they are in human terms. What does it mean? What are the implications? And then, of course, we want to make sure they're explainable, right? Explainability helps a lot, especially in figuring out unwanted bias, right? People are confused. Bias is not a bad thing. You use that to make decisions. Unwanted bias is potentially a big problem, right? If you're discriminating against, purple-haired left-handers, right, and you don't even know why, we better figure out what that reason was, and we should be able to reverse those decisions so we can unlearn. And then what do we do after that? Well, are these systems trainable, right? Can we learn over time? What level of precision do we need to make to get to precision decisions? Do we want it to be 95% accurate? Okay, 95% accurate in manufacturing? Woohoo! We'll go celebrate. Maybe you want a little bit more, but that's fine. Would you do 95% for healthcare? No, you want like 6 sigmas on the 9th. Like, I bet you the doctors are even close, but the point being is this is healthcare, right? Lives are at stake, right? And so we got to train these things. And then, of course, the last part is it's got to start with the human. It's got to end with the human. And here's why, because if you don't do that, the machines are going to take over the world, right? Put a human at the beginning of the process, put a human at the end of the process, and now we can talk. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about what's going on. Think about what's happening, right? In the world that's happening today, thinking about our data, thinking about our customer data, customer information, and the experience that's out there, we need IT business collaboration in order to be successful. What does the business side want? You're in charge of customers, customer experience. You're in charge of marketing, marketing analytics, in charge of service. You're in charge of that customer data. Well, you want it simple on the business side, no training, right? You want to be easy to use. You don't have to call up IT to do this. You want to be scalable, right? You want to build stuff, extend models. You don't have to call IT to do this. And of course, you want it to be sexy. You get excited about this. You're like, oh, wow, this is great. Well, what does IT want? Well, they're spending years, decades trying to keep these systems safe, right? You don't want to be on a ransomware attack. You don't want to have a cybersecurity breach. Nobody wants to be, on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, right? So we want these systems to be safe. We don't want to take out other types of systems, right? We want to make sure that information is secure. And we want to build sustainable platforms, right? We're talking about not 10-year platforms, not 5-year platforms. We're talking like 3-year platforms. And they keep changing. So what happens in these models? Well, who's on the business side? Are you on the business side? If you're on the business side, does that make sense? Right? What happens when IT wins on the business side? Nothing. Can't get any work done, right? Completely locked down. All right, I get it. IT folks, who's on the IT side? If you're on the IT side, what happens when business wins? There's data everywhere, right? There's access points all over the place. It's not secure, right? It's complete mess, right? You're at risk. All right, so here's the thing. If you're on the business side, talk to your IT teams. If you're on the IT side, talk to your business folks. I want you guys to shake hands and work with each other, right? Because it's really important. Business is not going to change what they do. They're going to keep going. They're going. They're not waiting for you. But IT has to scale. But notice how scaling gets shorter and shorter on time. It has to. That's the only way we can get there. Business is not going to wait for IT to get there. But what business can do is make it easy for IT to scale. And IT has to get scaling right. Otherwise, it can't support the business at scale. And so you got to work together in order to get there. All right, let's do some wrap up here. We said this earlier. 52% of the Fortune 500 merged, acquired, gone bankrupt, fallen off the list. We are in the middle of some massive transformation. This is a post-sale, on-demand attention economy. And what does that mean? We got to do more in transformation and innovation. It's not incremental innovation. That's not enough. We need transformational innovation, right? We're not talking about the Walkman to the double cassette Walkman. We are talking about the ability to build and get to iPhone type models, right? Disruption, transformational innovation. Now to do that, we got to start with the experience and outcomes you want to start with. Begin there. Think about what that design point is. Then we want to build digital DNA, 5 generations of digital workers, getting data proficiency across the organization, helping folks build left brain, right brain skill sets to be successful. And then form follows function. Form always follows function. So get the business model right, figure out the right technologies to support it. It's a CDP, customer experience, analytics, being able to build that, right? Build it against the business model, achieve and use the right technologies. And then we're going to go from gut-driven to data-driven decisions, right? So data-driven decisions, okay, let's use and make quantitative decisions and help train these systems over time and automate them. And once we have that in place, we're going to co-innovate and co-create with new partners. It's a very, very important thing. How do we co-create and co-innovate with new partners? Because we can't do this all on our own. And when you put all this together, you are on your road to deliver on digital transformation, your ability to actually get out there and be successful. And more importantly, right, you now have the ability to do this on your own and in a sustainable way. So thank you very much. Happy being here on Analytics Nexus 2020. If you have any questions, contact me with the information below.
Thanks so much for watching this presentation. Join us on the Analytics Nexus Slack to talk with our presenters about this topic and more.